So in this video, I'm gonna show you the top 5 ways that I'm managing talent overseas. Keep in mind, I got 200 employees. I've been through about 400 employees total, and I've been hiring people overseas, starting from the Philippines and Lebanon as of 2019. So I've been doing this for quite some time. I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes. What I thought was good ended up not being good long-term. And so I'm gonna save you all that time here today on this video, as long as you stay to the end. Keep in mind, number 5 is going to be the most important one, but let's start with number 1. Number 1 biggest mistake that you can do when hiring talent overseas is using some sort of like screenshot monitoring software, like a time tracker type software, right? I used to do this when I first started and it was incredible, especially when we had like 3 people, 5 people, 10 people, right? It was really cool because I could go see their screen. I could see anything they're doing anytime. I could see how much mouse activity they had, how much pause mouse activity. It was extremely productive, to be honest. It allowed me to press. It was like a very like military setup where like I knew everything that everyone was doing. I caught people like working other jobs. Like I caught all these problems, right? Now at scale, I don't really have the capacity to do so, right? So it doesn't make sense to make everything focused on time. What I realized as I grew was I'm telling my team indirectly is I care about how much time you spend at work. I don't care about how much output you have at work, right? It was the wrong measurement. And so while I'm sitting there monitoring time, oh, this person spent 60 hours this week, good for him. But the person that spent 42 hours is doing way more work than the one that's 60. But in their head, because they're looking at their hours, they feel rewarded because they are spending more time, not more output. So we decided to shift the system. Instead of doing screenshot monitor, let's get rid of all of them. We took a massive risk in the business. At the time, we had like 50 people on screenshot monitor. It was a big decision for us, very difficult, but we decided to do it anyways. We said, you know what, let's go goal-oriented and let's not go time-oriented. Let's still reward those people who are putting in time, obviously, because they're gonna have more output, but let's make it output-driven focus. So now that we don't use any of the screenshot monitor softwares, the one that we used was called screenshotmonitor.com, literally, brings us to point number 2 in how to manage remote employees, which is a project management system online. So basically what you see here on my screen, this is our ClickUp dashboard. It's the one that we use. You can use Asana, Notion. There's a million other ones. If you want to use ClickUp, our link is below. This is the one we use for our entire company and all my businesses, to be quite frank. What we can see here, for example, is the workload of the team based on the tasks that they actually have assigned to themselves, right? So I'm not going to sit here and have them document every little thing that they're doing, but how we operate as a business is if it's not in ClickUp, it doesn't exist, right? You can tell me you worked really fucking hard today, but if I don't see that you did it based on the projects and the tasks that you've actually assigned yourself to inside of our project management system, then I can't really help you. Now, I'm not going to give you a full training on the system, probably put it in another video. It's multiple hours of training to show you how we built this, but I need you to understand, just visually speaking, this is an employee. She's remote. She literally has, you know, I could see today, 30th, 11.6 hours scheduled of work. She's over capacity by 4.6 hours because she should only be doing 7 hours of work, right? Likely in this situation, she's in a situation where someone from her team is gone. She's trying to overcompensate. And so she's really sharp and she'll get, you know, what was 14 hours of work done yesterday. She'll probably do it in 8 or 9 hours, right? So she's just incredible. But I can see here every single task. You can see here every single task that she has for the day, every single thing that she's doing. You can see the green ones are done. The orange ones are in progress. And so I don't need to sit here and like figure out how many hours each person is doing. I've assigned a rough amount of hours per task, right? I know like a short email is this much, a long email is this much, etc. And then they assign themselves the tasks here, and then you can see which ones were finished, which ones were not finished, etc. Now, I'm not going to sit here and track every single task, and quite frankly, I am not going to sit here and track how much time they're spending. What's important to me is that they're actually creating output, they're creating progress, and at the beginning of every week, they've already mapped out all the things that they need to do for these clients so that they are planning ahead. So they go into the next week already knowing what they need to do, right? Their job is just to do it. I don't care if they do it in 10 hours a week or if they do it in 50 hours a week. The point is that it's done. And I'd actually rather reward the person that does it in 10 and does a good job and doesn't cut corners and still can do it in 10 than the person that can do it in 40, right? So this isn't about time. This is about tasks and outcomes, right? So you need a very good project management system to manage your team online so you don't have to micromanage, over communicate, have calls multiple times a day and like just ride people's backs, or using screenshot monitor to make sure you get that outcome. Number 3 is create a digital office environment, right? So like I said, I don't like to time track people, all that, but I love to have a digital office space. I don't want to feel like my entire company is compartmentalized into different pieces, right? I don't want to feel like someone's siloed. I want to feel like everyone's in the same spot. I want to feel like we are in a big office, right? We got about 25 people in the office I'm sitting in right now, and it's incredible. We get to talk to each other. We get to hang out. Like, it's way different than the people that are remote and online. So how can I mimic that for them? So we personally use Discord. If you can see my screen here, Discord's primarily meant for gaming servers originally, then it became big in crypto. And so we've been doing this for about 6 years now, and it's worked incredibly well. So you can see here every division in our company. We can start here, for example, let's say, you know, our content team. You can see our content team. I can close this out. Our content team, I can open it up. I can see every person that's in the office. Victor right here, his status is recording. He's actually sitting behind the camera right now. And you can see he's been in his office for 3 hours, 20 minutes. Fonzie, he's been in office for 3 hours, 51 minutes. And the cool part is I can kind of just jump in. You know, I'm not going to do it to bother anyone. Maybe I'll jump in here, for example. I can kind of jump in at any point in time. You can see here I'm deafened and muted, which means I can't hear anything or say anything. And so is Julian, who's my CFO. And then if he's free, he will unmute and undeafen. If he's not, if he's on a call, then he won't be able to do so, right? But I should be able to jump in anyone's office. They'll be able to unmute. Really cool. And I can see this. We can go do back and forth. We can jump in. I can literally, you know, I'll just give an example. If I were to jump in someone's office, I could literally turn on my video camera, and now I'm on a video call just like this with them in seconds, right? So it's a very, very easy process. It allows us to be able to jump back and forth, to be able to feel like there's more of a team environment, because you want your team to be attached to other people on the team, right? That's what keeps someone in a company. They feel like they have a good work environment. They're paid well, sure, but it's the culture, it's the team, it's feeling attached to other people that you're working with on a daily basis. So you can see everyone that's working in my company. You can see how many hours they've been sitting in their office. And then at the top, you can see the break room as well. So when someone goes on break, when they're taking lunch, whatever it is, they go into the break room, and that allows us to know, oh, this person's currently on break, they're on lunch, or whatever the case is. Don't bother them. It's not going to work out. So use Discord. If you got a remote team, even if it's 5 to 10 people, use Discord. It's incredible. It's free. We pay for a premium version just because we want like HD streaming. We share our screen on here. We use this instead of jumping into Zoom calls and stuff like that. We still use Slack for communication on text. Everything's on Slack in our business. Everything runs through Slack from a text standpoint, client communication standpoint, etc. This is just our internal office. Consider it like a physical office space that we've made digitally. Each person has their own office space. There's conference rooms. There's areas that you guys can meet and jump in. And so this is really cool. This is like the best setup that I've seen. And, you know, to this day, 5 years, 6 years later, like our team absolutely loves this. This is what kind of keeps them connected. And you'll see them at the end of the day too, like start doing activities and stuff together. It's really cool to watch. Number 4 is one of the most important ones, but it's not an actual visual or tech or tangible thing. It's actually just treating your people like humans. A lot of the times I see the biggest mistake that people make in a remote team environment is that they just treat their remote team like there's some sort of disposable person because they're overseas, because they're not here, because you don't have to look at them face to face. It's easy to fire them. It's easy to talk down on them. It's easy to not treat them like a human compared to someone who's in the office, maybe who you see on a regular basis, and you want to treat them more like a human, right? So I say all this to say, part of the reason we have such a strong culture is because, like, one, we're creating environments online in Slack and in Discord where we curate experiences for people to hang out together, where people are engaging together, whether it's really fun polls and quizzes in our general Slack channel where we ask things like, if it was a zombie apocalypse, what's like the one weapon you would want in your hand to survive? Would you rather fight zombies or vampires, as an example, right? And then you can see just like 200 people in the company leaving their comments and thoughts, and it's just so fun and engaging. You see how other people think. You think who's, you know, you realize who's going to die in the zombie apocalypse and who's going to live for sure. But it's pretty cool activities that stimulate them, right? On Fridays, they do happy hours as a team together. But most importantly, as leaders and as managers, we need to understand these people also have their own lives outside of work, right? They're not just like some remote disposable employee who we just throw away if, you know, they're not doing their job or whatever it is. We ask them, hey dude, what's going on in your personal life? Like a lot of times, like I've helped people overseas with like family situations, family funeral costs, helping them get into their first car, signing something for to get their first house. Like these are still people living their lives. They have families, they have problems, they have personal things that happen outside of work. And a lot of times at work, we just assume like at work, everyone's going to perform. But a lot of times if someone isn't performing, it's not a work problem. It's actually a personal problem. And so I challenge you as a leader in your business to treat these people like that and ask them more questions about their personal life, get to know them more personally, and watch how once you fix some of the problems that they might be having in their personal life, how much more you unlock from a loyalty and an output standpoint on the business side. And so I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make as a whole. Now, number 5, I promise you, is going to be the most important one. It's actually also the simplest one at the same time. The key here is to hire the best talent. Only hire A players. Now, a lot of times you look at it, you're like, man, this person's overseas. You know, how A player can they be? I'm telling you right now, some of the people who are running my best and most profitable departments are all overseas, right? I don't discriminate on location. I only discriminate on talent personally, right? And so in saying this, you got to understand that someone, for example, let's take Lebanon, because I hire all my people from Lebanon, right? I actually use RemotelyX.com. If you want to hire people, you want to recruit people overseas, RemotelyX.com is the best company to do so. I have companies as big as Go High Level that are multi-billion-dollar companies that are recruiting people from our talent over in Lebanon as well. Obviously, I'm biased, I'm Lebanese, but most of my top talent that's overseas is all from Lebanon. They're incredible. I've had at least 150 different friends and companies hire from RemotelyX, and all of them have hired again. No one's hired one person, and that should go and show you kind of the level of talent that you're getting for such a cheap price. But I say this to say, I'll give you an example. If you find a B player overseas, you know what I mean? Let's compare America and overseas. If I find a B player overseas, they might be wanting $1,500 a month, and the person in America who's a B player might be wanting $5,000 a month. To get an A player in America, I would have to jump to $10,000 a month instead of $5,000. But to get one in Lebanon, maybe I'd only have to jump to $2,500 a month instead of $15,000, right? And so for $1,000 more, I'm getting an A player. I'm getting the equivalent of what would be $5,000 more a month potentially in America to do the same. And what I see a lot of people make the mistake is, dude, I'm getting someone from overseas. How much better is this other person going to be? Let me just save the $500. Let me just save the $1,000. It's better off. But what you're not looking at is like, because you're already saving by going overseas on this talent, you actually want the best talent. Even if it's going to cost you $500 to $1,000 more a month, you're going to get 5x the output from an A player that you would in a B player, right? And obviously, like when you work with a company like RemotelyX, they do as much heavy legwork as they can up front to be able to remove the possibility of getting a B player or a C player, et cetera, right? Between the interviews, the personality tests that they do, the assessments that they make them do based on the role, the interviews that you get to do. So there's a lot of steps to go through to find really good talent. But at the end of the day, using a recruiting firm like RemotelyX to find A player talent is obviously a shortcut for you. But just keep in mind in general, don't like skimp out on the money here. Spend the extra money to get the top talent. Don't just go for the cheapest person because they're overseas. I promise you, just like here in America, there's people that are really good and there's people that are okay and there's people that are really bad. It's the same overseas at the end of the day. Using a recruiting company obviously leans that out and removes all the bad people and kind of keeps the good and the great people. But at the end of the day, spend a little bit more money, get the best talent, because if you have A players in your business, it won't matter, right? All these things I showed you, 1 through 4, I don't want to say irrelevant, but are less important when I have someone who's A player talent who can absolutely smash on my business. So with that being said, those are the top 5 things that we do to manage online talent, to keep them remote, to keep them happy, to keep them excited about the culture. Hopefully you got some value out of that. If you did, please subscribe below. And if you are looking for top talent, A+ talent overseas at an affordable price, go to RemotelyX.com or click the link below in the description and go straight to the website. From there, book a time to get on the calendar, talk to the team, figure out what roles make sense for you, figure out a budget that makes sense, and let's help you find A player talent overseas so you can implement some of the stuff we talked about in this video and start building your business more profitably.